fucking thing. I don't even care.
Live.
We didn't show the intro. Don't care. We took way too long.
We're so out of practice.
I wasn't gonna
puts Kentucky back on the field, and then Ray Davis, all day Ray. Man, oh man, is Davis doing it up. This is Tootin taking it to his left, got a seam. Facial Tootin on the move, got some alleys out there. Beep, touchdown.
Back shoulder throw, he's got it. It's Tez Johnson. Call him Johnson. Touchdown.
Is their defense. Little hole there to the right side, first down and then some. Jeremiah Love, touchdown Notre Dame. That's Williams in motion, low snap, Melrose stopped. Michigan makes a stand and comes up with a milestone playoff victory.
There's the intro.
What a shit show of a start.
Hell yeah. We're back, baby.
You're so out of practice. It's too. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back. This is the Week 0 podcast. I am your host, Connor, otherwise known as What the Fuck is Virginia Tech. To my left, you can't see him, is Ryan, because he has no camera. Below him, who also has no camera, is Josh, refusing to kneel, Brian.
Professional.
I'm just guessing you like to say that because you're secretly a
Hey,
Miami
man,
fan.
I just love to fumble the crystal ball.
There you go. And, of course, below us, we just have Lucas, who has a Miami shirt on, or Miami orange shirt or something.
Is that
Does it say?
No, it's not. It's not Miami.
It's a small high school.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Legit.
Well, how has it been, guys? It's been like a long ass time since all four of us have been here together.
I've been working 70-hour weeks, brother. I swear, if you're not working 120 hours a day, your hands are soft, brother.
You're working 27 hours a day, 376
hours
days
a
a
day,
year.
325 days a year.
That's why he can't kneel, because if he kneels, he won't get back up.
His
No, but
knees
seriously,
literally
I have been working a lot. That's why I haven't been on recently.
No,
but
I'm busy.
gonna try
We're
to
all
make up
busy
for
right
that.
now. So it's kind of perfect that summer. We're all busy during the summer when it's the off season, so it's kind of worked out. But we're starting our pre-season kind of predictions for each of the conferences. I'm surprised we're doing it this early because we still got.
Well, actually, no. Technically, we did our conference predictions. We did our conference predictions last year, all the way back in March. Actually.
And the good thing about it is that since we're taking 2 weeks off, by the time we're done with the conferences, I mean we're gonna be basically seasoned.
Nope.
So,
are we even going to do the Pac-12 or the Pac-2?
No.
we'll just we can add them in our Mountain West.
Yeah,
Power 4
So,
now. It's Power 4.
Today we're doing the ACC, the likeliest weakest of the Power 4 conferences now.
Now we are also going to add Notre Dame in this, so I don't know if you have a Notre Dame logo.
I do not have Notre Dame in this. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll just say where we're going to put Notre Dame at.
They're basically
okay. So we're going to be doing just a bunch of. Do you want me to share my screen? Because I have the tier maker. So we're just going to be doing a bunch of tier makers of first how we rank the full teams. Then Lucas, you said you want to do like quarterback, head coach, right?
Yeah, I just kind of I don't want to take too much time on that.
Yeah, we're going to do all of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's 3 new teams this year: SMU, Cal, and Stanford. I don't know why I sometimes mistakenly say Stratford, which is where a lot of my family is from in Connecticut, because it's so close to Stanford in terms of names. So, okay. So I have it laid out 15 to 17, 11 through 14, 8 through 10, 4 through 7, 1 through 3. Does that sound good?
Yeah. So I mean, are we doing full record predictions and breakdowns or what?
I don't think we should do breakdowns, but I do have a record prediction for each team.
I mean, we can kind of do that along with where we predict each team to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'll be nice.
So,
all right.
So this first one would just be,
starting with Miami.
Miami's last.
We'll start with like Connor, then obviously go down the list here on what we think, and then we can kind of get like a idea based off.
Okay, so we're just gonna go from like this direction. We're just gonna place them where we think.
Yeah,
and then
that works.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll do an average at the end.
Okay, that's fine. Let me pull up Miami's schedule real quick on my phone. Miami, of course, as per usual, is getting all of the hype, the preseason hype, as per usual, which just makes it, whenever they fall flat on their face, even more funny to watch.
I was about to say, am I alone in like not understanding?
No.
The Miami hype.
Josh. Miami fans on Twitter, as I'm in the spaces all the time. Every Miami fan you talk to thinks they're going 12-0 and winning the ACC.
It's not even Miami fans, dude. Vegas has them at like second best odds to win the conference.
No, I know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
They could. I don't know how good Florida's going to be, but I think they start on the road at Florida.
Florida's going to be a dumpster fire. We can get to that later.
That's a rivalry game to start the season. Anything can happen. You know what I mean?
You're going to find out what those two teams are made of.
So I'm just going to list out real quick their toughest games, possibly. The toughest games probably are going to be at Louisville, home versus Florida State, and maybe hosting Virginia Tech. But it's definitely those Louisville and Florida State back-to-back weeks, probably their two hardest games. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So they don't play Clemson.
No,
they do not.
Okay.
No, they completely avoid Clemson. So, the way where I see them is, despite the hype and despite the fact I think it's overblown, I still think they're a top half team in the conference. I'm not going to put them anywhere near 1 or 3. I would put them somewhere in 4 through 7 maybe, but that's just where I would put. I would say maybe they're, other than Florida, they have a very light non-con, and they get California, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake, and Syracuse. And I've been hearing a lot of hype for Syracuse, obviously. Duke, not so much.
Let's not take too much time per team. Weird.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna say
Ryan, just give us your ranking.
I'll say 7-5, 8-4.
Okay.
Record-wise.
Fair. All right, Ryan's not going. Josh, go ahead.
Okay,
cool.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I know. Come on.
All right, cool. Sorry, I was dropping the link to Phil.
Phil's coming.
I got Miami in that 7 range too. I'm not buying into the hype either. I think they're probably a 9-3 team, 8-4 at the worst. So yeah, I agree with where Connor has them.
Okay, no disagreement on the record there, Ryan, from me. Something that needs to be said, though, they are one of the most talented teams in the ACC. And they do have a pretty favorable schedule. I know. Nobody does more with less. That's, how many times do we hear that? But I can see this team being a 9-3, and the way the ACC is shaken out, they could have a shot at getting into the title game.
Yep.
But I don't. Who that's going to be against is really going to determine. Do I think Miami is going to win the ACC this year? Probably not. But I do like them to have a better season. And let me just shame Miami fans for go to games. You guys look like bums every time we scroll. Every time the camera zooms out from the field and like stadium's half empty. Go to games. This team deserves it.
Josh, you know what they'll tell you? There's better things to do in Miami.
I don't care. I don't care.
Let me finish this out. Okay, so actually we can add Phil in here, and then
hell yeah.
Phil can finish this out. We're on Miami right now. I have them in the top 1 through 3 in the conference. They have the best quarterback by miles in this conference. I have also seen Mario Cristobal do wonders after being at a program for 3 years. We remember he was 7-5, 9-4, and then 12-2 in his third year at Oregon. After he got his guys. So I do have Miami winning 11 games in this season. I think they lose either the Virginia Tech or the Louisville game. I believe in Mario Cristobal in his third year. I get the hype, and it's mostly just because their conference is really bad and they have a really good roster.
That's weird. I can't tell if Lucas is trolling or if he's being genuine right now.
No, he's being genuine.
You got to look at, you got to see how history has played out. I mean, it was the
He's
same
got
thing
a soft
at Oregon.
spot for Cristobal.
Well, it was the same thing at Oregon. He didn't do super well in his first 2 seasons at Oregon. And then once he got all of the recruits that he brought in, same thing as he's doing in Miami right now, he brought in a really, really good quarterback. And I could see them winning 10 or more games.
I believe it.
Bill. What about you, Phil? What do you think Miami does this year?
Yeah, I think they're in the top 1 through 3 as well. For much the same reasons outside of the Cristobal thing, because Cristobal might be the reason, that it's even a thought that they're not in the 1 through 3. But as far as their roster, as far as the quarterback, I'm not going to say, I don't think they have the best quarterback in the conference per se. But, that roster is pretty strong. They've done a great job recruiting the last few years, and they've done some things in the transfer portal. So I think they're top 1 through 3 team.
Yeah.
I think a good average of 4 through 7, probably a number 4 is probably our average there out of all of our.
It's either 4 or 5. Yeah.
I would strictly put them at 4. They just missed out on the top 3 for me.
Now, are we? Because I have them at like 6. So, are we also including? We're also including Notre Dame in this. So, does that change your guys' thing at all?
That doesn't
they're
change.
Probably like 2 or 3 for me. So I'll keep them in the top 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything for me, just because. I mean, we'll get to Notre Dame, but I like them at 4.
There.
I like them at 4. Let's go to
We'll get there when we get there. All right,
SMU.
team.
Okay, so SMU, the former defending American Athletic Conference champions were undefeated in that conference last year. Had an 11-3 record last year. Come into the ACC for the first time. Did you see the stuff about how much money they raised for their athletic department?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like $160 million in like.
Hell yeah!
They are going for it. So, I mean, I'm still of the opinion, especially after how the new teams in the Big 12 did last year, not doing particularly good, that it might be a bit of a wake up call. But I still think, personally, I was looking at, they have to play Florida State, they play Louisville, but they don't play Clemson again, or they don't play Clemson. I was thinking maybe like they're behind Miami, maybe like 7-5, 8-4. But I think there'll be a struggle here or there. Facing teams they've never faced before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got them kind of in that 8 to 12 range. I think SMU is a really good team, but like we saw with UCF last year, who was also a really good team. Once they got into the Big 12, they started off really strong, but then dealing with the physicality of a Power 5 conference, it tended to get to them throughout the season. And you started to see where they'd have games where they'd get blown out by a team like TCU that you could argue was not as good as UCF last year. And then they turn around and blow out Oklahoma State 48-0 when Oklahoma State played for the Big 12 title. So I think SMU is going to kind of have that same type year where they might go 7-5, 8-4. They might have some upsets, but they'll also be upset a lot themselves. But I think you could have an argument for them at 7, but I think that it's more likely that they finish 8 to 12.
Okay. All right. So, no, you're fine. You're fine. So I actually like SMU a lot coming to this conference. I feel like they are actually a really good fit for their style of play. I feel like they are. I mean, am I out of line for saying that there's probably 2 physical teams in the ACC? Maybe 3. So,
no.
like, and including Notre Dame, probably 4. But I like SMU there, and actually, I've got them as a dark horse to make a pretty good run at the title game. They're going to miss out on it due to one of their. I'll have them probably losing to Louisville, but that is going to be a much better game than people are going to expect. And I actually really like SMU, so I would have them right behind Miami at probably the 5th best team in the ACC this year.
I mean, they do have the 4th best odds to win the conference.
I mean, I like them. I'm high on what the hype that people give Miami. I'm giving to SMU.
Yeah, I do think SMU gets a bit of a wake up call just based off of like what they did last year. But I do think they're a top 7 team. I have them ranked as number 7 with an 8-4 record.
I want to point out that SMU, like the fundraising, is no shock. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone because there's a reason. Like they got like the death penalty back in, I guess that was the early '80s, and it was because they could raise some money and dish it out, right? So, I don't think that's going to be a problem for them going forward, especially with NIL and the way that it's open right now. So I want to make that a point. That said, I may have to change my Miami pick a little bit because, like Josh, I think SMU has a chance here. And when I say a chance, I mean, I think Florida State is clearly better. I like Miami's roster better, but I don't know if you guys saw SMU's schedule. They have a pretty easy schedule in the early middle part. They do play Florida State and Louisville back to back. They could lose both of those games and still win 10 games, right? Mm-hmm. So I like SMU here, and I might even, 4 to 7 is good range. I would put them like at 4 personally, maybe even 3 in the ACC. They're avoiding Virginia Tech. They're avoiding Clemson. They have a lot going for them. I like their schedule, and I think they could potentially lose only 2 games.
Okay. Yeah, so if you average it out, I think they're around the 6 or 7 range. If you average it out.
Okay, we'll keep them there for now.
Probably 5 or 6. Right. But fantastic.
So now on to Boston College. I was looking at their schedule last year, and they lost to Florida State, Louisville,
NIU,
Miami, Virginia Tech. So now Virginia Tech wasn't like the best team last year, but they lost to the top 2 teams in the conference. Lost to 2 more that had pretty good seasons, and they got blown out by Miami, Louisville, and Virginia Tech. They did beat SMU surprisingly in the bowl game, but that's a bowl game where no one's trying. I know Lucas loves his man. What's his last name?
Boy. Hey, he's a national champion.
I think they're like maybe 8 to 10 or 11 to 14. I'll put them there, but that's where I think their schedule this year. I was looking at their old schedule. Sorry, Michigan State. It's not the hardest. They also avoid Clemson. It looks like, which is surprising. So that's good for them. Maybe 6-6, 5-7.
Yeah, I think Boston College is in for another 6-6 season behind Thomas Castellanos. I don't like them. Like if you told me SMU wasn't in the conference, these other new ACC teams weren't in there. Boston College, yeah, I think you could put them in that 8 to 10 range, but I don't think they're very good. Like Castellanos is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, but their team overall is just dog doo-doo. I mean, let's not forget they did lose to NIU at home. So, yeah.
Okay, so For Boston College, I feel like they're not really middle of the pack in this ACC this year. I feel like they are a lot closer to the bottom. Probably bottom 4, if I'm being honest. They just, they had some flashes right last year. You play a good half of football, something like that. It's just let's be honest though. Boston College is not gonna challenge anybody in this. Their non-conference is a little brutal. They get Missouri at Missouri.
Oof.
They start the season at Florida State as well.
They start the season at
They're going to be
Florida
1 and
State.
2 after 3 weeks.
Yeah. So let's move them down to 15 through 17.
Oh, geez.
I feel honestly.
I was not expecting you to say that.
Well, I mean, I just looked at their schedule.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, at Florida State, and then they've got Duquesne at Missouri, Michigan State, Western Kentucky, and Duquesne and Western Kentucky, Michigan State are toss-ups. They are not guaranteed wins for Boston College. All right, at Virginia, and then, probably a toss-up, probably a loss.
Then they get Virginia Tech and Louisville back-to-back.
Yeah, Virginia Tech and Louisville at home. Then you get Syracuse at SMU versus North Carolina versus Pittsburgh. They might go 1 for 4 in their last 5 games. They're not making a bowl this year. They are lucky if they make a bowl this year.
The only way they do well is if Castellanos plays out of his mind like he was playing last year, and even when he was playing,
it's like one man cannot raise a city. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I'm sorry for my scathing indictment of Boston College.
Moving on. I mean, it's fucking Boston College.
It's Boston College. Let's move. Hold on. We'll put Cal down there too.
I have Boston College at 6-6. I have them ranked number 10 in the conference.
Okay. Cal
and Phil, what do you got? You think
what about Boston College?
Yeah, I don't like Boston College at all this year. There's a chance that after who is it? After Western Kentucky, they don't win another game.
Yeah.
So and that's like the 5th game of the season. They do have poor little Bronim on the schedule. I think they can win that. But yeah, after Western Kentucky, I honestly don't see a win for them on the schedule.
Now, what's up with Cal? Because I know Cal's interesting. Because I think if I remember correctly, Josh Pate went over their schedule, and it's not too terribly difficult. There's like a part where they don't leave California for quite a bit. So go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, they play at Florida State. Oh no, oh God. So they play at Auburn, they play at Florida State. They get Miami at home. They play Oregon State, they play at Wake. They play at SMU.
They're not going to win a lot of games.
I don't think. I mean, where I put them 11 through 14 might be a little generous, but I think there's definitely at least 2 teams that are definitely worse than them. Maybe 4-8, 5-7.
Yeah,
I don't even remember exactly what their record was last year. They were in a bowl game. Oh, they finished 6-7. So.
And the Pac-12 was a lot tougher than what the ACC is. I agree. I think they're in that 11. I think they're in that 11-14 range, probably exactly at 14. At the ceiling, probably 13. But I agree with that 11-14 assessment.
Wow. I mean, it's really ambitious. They put the ACC championship game on their schedule.
They did put that on
they did at the very bottom. Yeah. That's you got to admire the optimism there. But I looked at their schedule. I see probably 4 or 5 wins for this Cal team. They could surprise me. But I see them, just around bowl eligibility. So I think that 11-14 mark is appropriate.
Yeah. I have them ranked as the number 13 team in the conference at 5-7. However, they may have the best, the conference most valuable player in Jaden Ott.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree with Lucas here. I think they're about 5-7. It's not a lot of wins on the schedule for them, but yeah, they have some ones that may be like 50-50 that if they can win those, they can get to 5-7.
Okay. Let me pull up Clemson. Sorry.
Name some.
So Clemson, so they start the season. Ooh, geez.
Georgia.
Is it a home game for Georgia at in
Is it?
It's the
Atlanta?
Chick-fil-A game, so yes, it's a home game.
It's such a bogus thing, bro.
It is so bogus.
Build a better stadium if you don't like it.
No, it's not even that. It's the fact that it's in Atlanta, so it's not.
Right.
So it's not
Yeah, I know. That's what I
They
mean.
should be exempt from playing in that game.
Georgia's the road team in that game, but
it's like a
They were
glorified.
the road team against us too.
Dude, they should just ban Georgia. Ban Georgia from having quote unquote neutral site games at Mercedes-Benz. Let little bro Georgia Tech use it.
Then Georgia will never play in the SEC championship. I'm all for it.
get banned for that too. Yeah, so I mean, despite still not fully believing in Cade Klubnik, the hardest games are Georgia, at Florida State, Louisville, and then maybe at Virginia Tech. I mean, I think 10-2 to 11-1 if Klubnik comes around, but I do think that top 1 through 3, I think they're the betting favorites still, along with Florida State. So
no, Florida State's 1, Miami is 2, Clemson is 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I believe I'll believe in Clemson more than I'll ever believe in Miami. That's all I have to say about that. And I think that's totally fair and is totally warranted based on the past decade plus, whatever.
So I've actually talked. We were supposed to have the Silent Clemson guy on, but I don't know what happened with that. But I was talking to him yesterday, and I kind of agree with a lot of his takes. This season and the success for Clemson this year comes down to how Cade Klubnik does. He has been nothing but an utter disappointment since he's taken over for Clemson. He's had his moments like in the ACC title game a couple years ago, but he has not lived up to the quote-unquote next Trevor Lawrence that Clemson fans were trying to put on him when he came to Clemson. So they will go as far as Cade Klubnik takes them. Their defense will always be elite. The running game will always be elite with Phil Maffa back there. But if they can't pass the ball, they might be in rude awakening, maybe another 8-4 season. I think they go 10-2. Their floor is 8-4 though. So I think they're in that 4-7 range, but as high as 2. So for right now, I'll put them in the 1-3 because I trust them more than Miami, but they're teetering on the edge.
That's
fair. I'd give them in the 1-3. I do believe they will go 10-2 this season, possibly 9-3. Which let's knock that down one more game. 8-4, sky would be falling at Clemson. So, but I think Klubnik is.
And complain about it if that was.
I think that I honestly think that Klubnik is going to be better this season. I think he's entirely capable of taking this team. Well, I'm not going to say undefeated, but 11-1. But I really think realistically, you're looking at a 10-2, 9-3, and a shot at the ACC championship.
Yeah, I have them ranked as the number 5 team in the conference. This is including Notre Dame in the conference, of course. So I have them ranked as number 5. I have them going 9-3. I think they lose their 3 toughest games on their schedule. I will say I do agree that I think Kate Klubnik is going to take some leaps this season. I just don't see their roster being good enough to win some of their bigger games.
As long as I'm blanking on his name, but as long as they don't go into the transfer portal, I don't think Clemson's going to be back to wherever they were.
As long as Gavin just holds his ground.
Right.
I think is it my turn? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So they're gonna lose week 1. I think they can lose the NC State game. I know a lot of people, including I think some of you guys, aren't really high on NC State, as high as like the world seems to think they are, or the country. Let me just say that. I think they're gonna lose to Florida State. I have no reason to believe Kate Klubnik is going to be any good. Anything over average. Let me say that. I mean, he was a highly touted quarterback out of high school, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I think they could lose to Louisville. I think they could go to Blacksburg and lose. That's not an easy place to win, especially if Virginia Tech is having the season that I think we all think they're going to be having at that point. I think I can see 4 losses on the schedule for Clemson. So I'm with Lucas. I think they're 4-7.
Okay. Do you want to put them for now at? We'll have them maybe they'll be like 3. So there'll be 2 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Duke. So they went 8-5 last year, but now they've
lost every single person they had.
Yeah, they lost every single person they had. They lost their head coach. So it's
Buck Elko, their starting quarterback, their best defensive players, their starting running back, their starting receiver.
The only good thing is like their non-con is easy as fuck. They
did get a good quarterback too.
Yeah, they got Malik Murphy in the portal.
And you guys are familiar with who's coaching there now, right?
Yep, Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz.
Yeah.
Not an upgrade.
So they play Elon, they play Northwestern.
I feel like that's a lateral move.
Oh,
theoretically,
I feel like that's a lateral move.
Duke could be like 3-0, going 3-0, 3-1, going into their ACC. Then they Then they get Florida State, SMU. They get Florida State, SMU, and Miami back to back. Oh, geez, actually, that's even worse. They get Florida State, SMU, Miami, NC State, Virginia Tech.
Ooh. They're gonna lose all 5 of
weeks.
Oh man, it could be a tale of 2 halves for this season.
Exactly.
Like it was last year.
I think they're in that 11-14. I don't think they're gonna be that bad because I definitely think, at the very least,
go blue.
Maybe 15. I think it'd be 15, BC 16, and there's another team that I definitely think is gonna be very much last in this conference. I'm gonna say like 4-8. I think they only win maybe 1 ACC game because that's a pretty difficult start.
Don't start, Justin. You gotta chill. You gotta wait.
So I actually think Duke they're slightly better than where Connor has them. I think there are clearly 2 teams that we will get to shortly that are going to be the 2 bottom feeders in this conference. We know who they are. I think Duke is not that bad. I think the addition of Malik Murphy in itself kind of saves them from that. But 11-14 is where I'm going to go.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good spot for them. Looking at their schedule, it's very possible they go through the second half of their schedule and not win a game for the rest of the year. I've got them at 5-7, missing the bowl game. And the worst part about that is they can very well go through the first 4 weeks 4-0. And after that, you get North Carolina. I don't see them winning that game. At Georgia Tech could be a toss-up. I have them winning that game. The rest of that schedule is brutal for Duke. Is what it is, but again, 5-7, missing out on a bowl game.
I have Duke as the number 15 team in the conference, obviously including Notre Dame. It's a total of 18 teams. Have them ranked as number 15, going 4-8. Again, reiterating what you guys say, they're probably 4-0 to start the year, and then they lose 8 straight to end it. So,
I think it could be that bad for Duke. I'm not even gonna necessarily hand them the win against Northwestern. They got to go to Northwestern for that, so they could potentially lose that game. I would make them the favorite though. So I think there's a stretch of their schedule where they lose 5 straight games, which is ugly. So I think the 11-14 is fair. But there are teams worse than them if that's even possible. So 11-14 is cool.
Yeah, we got big boy Florida State.
So Florida State. So it's weird. They because they play Notre Dame and then they play Florida. Their non-con is not. They start with 2 ACC games and then they just have that game against, and then they have a game against Memphis, and then they're back in the ACC. I think Florida State is probably number 1, but maybe 2. It'll be interesting to see how they rebound after what happened last year. Missing out on the playoff like that, whether that affects them in any way. But I mean, the hardest games is Clemson. They have Clemson at home, and then they're at Notre Dame, and that's it. That's probably their hardest games, honestly. 10-2, 11-1, I think. That's where I see them.
Yeah, I think they're a top 3. They're a top 3 team for sure. I think the key for Florida State this year is going to be the play of DJU. I honestly, if you look at the roster, Florida State is actually worse than they were last year. Not by much.
Dude, I mean, you got to think of the pieces that they lost. Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jared Verse, Jordan Travis. Dude, they're way worse. I'll get to mine, but they're way worse than they were last year.
I think that they got some decent pieces in the portal. I think Mike Norvell is still recruiting very well there, so I don't think they'll fall off a cliff. And I think I kind of agree with you, Lucas, but I think that in the ACC, that just speaks volumes to how bad that conference is, that Florida State can lose all those guys and still be the odds-on favorite to win the ACC title. So, I mean, I think they're a top 3 team. I probably have them at 2. But, I mean, I think 11-1 is where Florida State ends up.
Yeah, I believe 11-1, 10-2 for Florida State. Do they have the opportunity to go 12-0? I believe they do, but I mean that's difficult for any team, especially one that's got a new quarterback, and which I will say this: DJ has been ridiculously consistent at the quarterback position. Same numbers as
consistently mid.
And you say that you put him on the right team with a good defense, they win a lot of games.
Oregon State had a pretty good defense last year.
Yeah, and Oregon State went bowling. So,
damn it.
At 8-4.
Yeah, I know 8-4 is good for Oregon State. What are you talking about?
Okay. They had a better record with Goldbranson, but
well, I mean,
anyways.
I'm not a quarterback savant, so I don't know. But again, this could be a case of how far did DJ take them? They did lose a lot from last year's team. I'll let you get into that, Lucas. But I got them at 11-1, 10-2.
Yeah, I do think the conference isn't very good, so I do have them actually as the number 6 team in the conference at 9-3. I think they're going to lose some of their tougher games of the season. like I said, I think DJ is consistently mid. He actually had his best season of his career last year. And they had a pretty good team, and they still did not win very many games. I don't think that him going to a team with probably less weapons than Oregon State had last year is going to help. I don't think Florida State is really all that good. I have them at 9-3 because the conference isn't very good, but yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna, I guess, disagree with everyone here. I think Florida State is the class of the ACC. Maybe everybody thinks that too, or close to it. I think that you guys may be overlooking what they did in the transfer portal. All right, obviously they got DJU, Marvin Jones Jr., former 5-star edge edge rusher from Alabama. They picked him up. Jalen Brown, wide receiver out of LSU, 4-star, and was a 4-star in the portal, I believe. There's another wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver that I believe they got from Alabama in the portal as well. They got a linebacker.
The freshman receiver. I know who you're talking about.
Right, Malik Benson.
Yeah, Malik Benson.
Junior receiver out of Alabama, actually. They got. So I think the weapons are certainly better. They got a running back, a 4-star running back out of the transfer portal too. I forget who that was from, but I think the weapons are certainly better than what he had at Oregon State. And to be fair, the schedule isn't necessarily daunting. They do have to play Clemson. They do have to go to Notre Dame. Maybe that Notre Dame game is the lone loss on the schedule, because I think they're going to wipe the floor with Florida. I think DJU transferred to Florida State with the express purpose of beating Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney. And I think that's going to get
that's a
ugly.
good point. I didn't even think of that.
So that's I got them at 11-1.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Like going there as pure spite to beat Clemson. That's a good point. All right, moving on to Georgia Tech. Everyone's high on the not everyone's high on, but I've been hearing some good things about Georgia Tech. Hardest games. They start the season. They host Florida State, at Louisville, host Notre Dame, and then end the season at Georgia. I don't think they win any of those games. I think that's 4 losses at the minimum. Maybe. So I think like 7-5, maybe 6-6. I'd put them like maybe 8-10, 8-10, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I agree. I think Georgia Tech's going to be. No, I wouldn't say a sleeper in the ACC because that insinuates that they have a chance to sneak into the ACC title game. They don't have that chance, but I think Georgia Tech is building something. They've gotten better incrementally over the last couple years. I think they're on their way up, but I think this is another case of where you add teams in. I think that it's going to be tough for them, but I think that they're going to be improved. They're going to make a bowl game this year. I think 7-5 for Georgia Tech is a good season.
Okay. All right. I'll be the guy. All right.
Don't do this.
Oh, God.
Georgia Tech is going to be better than they were last season.
No.
But they're going 4-8.
Yeah.
What?
What the fuck?
Oh, no. That is not a what? What the? No. They're going 4-8. Looking at their schedule, right? Let's take a look at their schedule. First game against Florida State, that's a loss. Georgia State, let's give it to them. All right, that's one of their wins. At Syracuse, that's a toss-up. Maybe they get it, maybe they don't. Versus VMI. I don't even know what VMI is.
Virginia Military Institute.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll give them that one. At Louisville, that's a loss. Versus Duke, that's a toss-up. Maybe they win, maybe they don't. You know, at North Carolina, they're losing that one. Versus Notre Dame, they're losing. At Virginia Tech, they're losing. Versus Miami, they're losing. Versus NC State, they're losing. At Georgia, they're losing. They're going to be a better team than they were last season.
So what is that 11 through 14 then you would think? Or are they one of those teams you were talking about that's down here?
This is one of those teams that's not necessarily their record. So record-wise, they would be down there next to Boston College. But I do believe that they are better than Boston College.
That's fair. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I get what you're putting down.
Yeah, I agree. I think Georgia Tech reminds me a lot of like a Rutgers. They might give some teams some struggles, but they're really going to end 4-8. I have them ranked number 14, just above Duke on my list.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Lucas and Josh. I do think that talent-wise, roster-wise, they're going to be better than they were a year ago. However, the schedule dictates that that's not going to matter much. I would say that they could have potentially upset a team or two, so be on the lookout for that. So I think they're in about the right place, right? 11 through 14 or 8 through 10. That's about where I'd put them.
Yeah, I think the sentiment though is based on the averages, they'd probably fall in that 11 to 14 range, Connor.
Yeah. Okay, but at the top there, like
yeah, the higher part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 11 through 14 is set unless we make any adjustments. That's no, actually no. 11, 12.
Nothing is set until we're finished. We can move things around.
Yeah.
14 needs to be in there. Okay, Louisville. Looking at their schedule, they'll be 3-0 heading into that Notre Dame game at Notre Dame. That'll be a good test to see where Louisville stacks up. Then they get SMU, host Miami. They play at Clemson, and then they play at Kentucky. Those are probably their hardest games. I like Louisville after last year. I still like Louisville more than I like Miami. I don't think they're 1 through 3, but I think they're above Miami. That's me personally. I think 9 and 3. I think the losses possibly would be Notre Dame, maybe Clemson, and I don't know, maybe Kentucky, just because it's a big rivalry game.
Yeah. For personally, I think Louisville. I think I'm going to kind of do what Josh did, but I think but instead for Louisville, in terms of Louisville last year was what 10-2, 10 the year, 10-2. I think their roster this year is better. They have a better quarterback in Tyler Shuck. They got tons of weapons in the transfer portal. Jamari Thrash did Jamari Thrash come back or did he go to the NFL?
No. So their wide receiver core is kind of nuts though. Ja'Cory Brooks, Bama transfer.
Yeah.
Colin Lacey, one of the best wide receivers in the Conference USA last year, and then Chris Bell, who was very good for them last year as well. They have a really good receiver.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they're a better team, but I think their record isn't going to show it. I think they lose more than 2 games this year. So I mean, I think Louisville takes a step back. If I had to guess, because there's 2 teams that I think are not as good, like not as talented as Louisville, and we're going to get into those teams soon. But there are 2 teams that are not as talented as Louisville, but because of how their schedules add up, I like them a lot more.
Louisville has not a lot. It's really hard to say any ACC team has a difficult schedule, but Louisville probably has one of the harder ones up there because they they don't play Florida State, but they get Clemson, they get Notre Dame, they get Miami, right? So that's 3 pretty tough games. So I get what you're going.
Yeah. So I think Louisville's in that either 8 or not 8 to 10, but like that 4 to 7, maybe 8 range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I mean, same, absolutely the exact same boat here. I believe that Louisville is a better team than they were last year, but because of their schedule not being as favorable as it was last year, their record's going to be worse. I think they're going to go 8-4, which is pretty solid, with losses to Notre Dame, Miami, Clemson, and Kentucky. But I mean, just because they lose those games, that does not mean that they are not a much better team this year than they were last year.
So I have them ranked as the number 2 ACC team, number three with Notre Dame included.
I'm sorry. I've got them at like 6. Sorry.
So I have them at number 3 with Notre Dame included. Obviously, with that being said, my conference championship would be Miami and Louisville. I have them going 10-2, with their losses being to Notre Dame and Kentucky at the end of the year. For whatever reason, they just can't beat those fuckers.
Little bro.
So yeah, that's my. But I do have them going undefeated in the ACC.
What?
Beating Clemson?
I just think that receiving core with their very, very experienced quarterback. They got a good running back in the transfer portal for Miami. I think their defense is good.
You have to beat Clemson at Clemson.
They had really good coaching last year. Like I said earlier, I think Clemson loses their toughest games. I think that's one of their toughest games.
I see. Oh man, this is tough. So I think everybody here must be expecting Notre Dame to be excellent.
Well,
Louisville
I
beat Notre Dame last season, right? With a quarterback that in the preseason, at this time last season, Ryan was telling us was the Heisman front runner. And I know, that is his team. He's supposed to do that thing. But Riley Leonard, coming off of an injury, Riley Leonard has not, he hasn't shown even in his best days that he was the passer in the ACC that the last guy was, right? And I'm not poo-pooing on that. I don't want to get too deep on Notre Dame. Notre Dame has to win this game. Obviously, they lost this game a year ago. I think Notre Dame will win this game. I'd say all of that to say Notre Dame will win this game.
It's in South Bend as well.
And it's also, I mean, to that point, I think it's a revenge game for Notre Dame. They're going to want to kick the shit out of Louisville.
Absolutely. I agree. Notre Dame's going to win that game. I think I could be wrong here. I think SMU, because I'm really high on SMU, I think SMU beats Louisville. And then I do think Louisville beats Miami.
So this all right here is just kind of a mess trying to figure out.
There's a solid second tier to the ACC.
Yeah. And then the Clemson game, there's going to be a lot riding on that for both Clemson and Louisville potentially. They're avoiding Virginia Tech and the monster that we think they're going to be. And of course, they're going to lose to Kentucky because that's just an annual L for them. So there's that. I think they're about 9-3.
Kentucky annually puts the L in Louisville.
Right.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. NC State. Tennessee. I don't know. They host Tennessee. That's going to be interesting. They play at Clemson. And then those are their 2 hardest games, honestly. They avoid Florida State. They avoid Louisville. And their schedule is not the hardest, which is why I've been seeing a lot of decent hype for NC State. I don't know. I think they're squarely below these 3 teams, but that's just me. Maybe I still think they could be maybe 7-5, maybe 8-4, but I think I would take any of these 3 teams, Louisville, Miami, or SMU, ahead of them.
Yeah, I disagree. I'm very high on this NC State team. Okay. If you ask me, I honestly would. I think NC State, if you take Notre Dame out of this equation, can very easily be the 3rd or 2nd best team in the ACC. I think their defense under Dave Doran is always going to be one of the best, if not the best, in the ACC as a whole. And you were forgetting they picked up Grayson McCall who has always been one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, the three-time USA Sun Belt Player of the Year. Ever since he was at Coastal Carolina, he won it every single year. I think that's an underrated signing. I think he's a lot better than what they got last year in Brennan Armstrong. So I think that's going to be the difference this year for NC State. And I think their schedule is not very hard. So 10-2 puts them squarely in that either top 3, or if you had Notre Dame, that 4 through 7 range.
Okay, so for NC State, this is kind of an inverse of what I've said for some other teams. They've got a very favorable schedule. Now they have a couple guaranteed losses here. At Tennessee, I do.
No, they
oh,
host.
Sorry. No. They host Tennessee. My bad. I still think that's a loss.
That's fair
for NC State, and okay, this is just a gripe that I get. All right, for being a Kentucky fan, I don't want to hear anything from any ACC team about Kentucky scheduling MAC teams, because what the fuck is Western Carolina? Wild. The Catamounts, never heard of them. So, anyways, sorry. So, going through their schedule, I think they can easily go 8-4, 9-3 in this schedule. I think 10-2 would be pushing it. I think they drop one of these games, maybe at North Carolina, maybe hosting Syracuse. One of those games they're going to drop. But I think 9-3 is pretty solid for them. But I would also put them in the 8-10 range. Maybe number 8. They might sit around that 4-7 there, but I think they are definitely worse than SMU, Miami, and Louisville. I just don't think their record is going to be who they are as a team. This may be they went 9-3, but they lost to freaking a MAC team. Shut the fuck up!
Almost fell asleep there for a second.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Sorry,
I'm setting my piece.
All right, I have Matt number 8 and 8-4.
I think they could win a lot of games. I don't think they will. 8-4.
Okay, so do you think 8 through 10 is a good spot?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's just me.
I mean, you just.
Who you gonna knock out?
We can put.
I'm dropping Louisville out, and I'm putting NC State in there.
That's 4, 5, 6, 7. So that works.
I think it's more likely that NC State goes 10-2 with how favorable their schedule is than it is that Louisville goes 10-2.
NC State's not going to go 10-2 in your lifetime, partner.
They already did when they had Bradley Chubb.
So here we go. Pittsburgh. I think that this is probably the second worst team in the conference. They were 3-9 last year, and they beat Boston College. So therefore, actually, I'll put them ahead of Boston College last. But their schedule isn't that bad. They get Clemson, Louisville. We get the backyard brawl again, West Virginia at Pittsburgh. So that'll be a great game to watch. But I still think they're terrible. Maybe 2-3 wins max.
Yeah, Pitt is absolutely terrible. Ever since Baby Hands Pickett left, they've been atrocious. But I still don't know if they're worse than Stanford or better than Stanford. Whatever, man. I think Stanford. It's a battle of like 5 teams for the worst team in this conference. But I think Pitt. Okay, yeah. Pitt can be in that bottom tier range. That's fine.
Yeah, not too much to say about this team. That 3 wins, maybe 1 win over somebody that you don't think, but that's it.
I am I should have looked this up a second ago, but I couldn't name a single. Oh, Rodney Hammond Jr. He's good. I was gonna say I can't name a single player that plays for Pitt. But Rodney Hammond Jr. is pretty good. Their quarterback's name is Nate Yarnell, whoever the hell that is. They're really bad.
We'll hold off on ranking like head coaches and quarterbacks for like another stream.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that here. But
those can be separate streams.
Pittsburgh, I have them ranked 17 of 18. So 3-9.
Including Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I think they're going to be very bad. 15-17 Fitz. Let's go.
Okay.
Stanford.
Bad.
Those
but
fucking trees better not. No. 15-17.
No,
they're fighting for it, man.
I don't think that's a bad spot for Connor. And the reason, I can give you. I guess I can just go right now. I have them at 5-7. I think they had a lot of good things going for them last season. They were in the midst of a complete overhaul at the coaching positions. But they have a really good coach, and he was actually a really, really good coach in the FCS ranks at Sacramento State. And they were putting together some really good stuff. They have a stud quarterback in
Ashton Daniels.
And that other kid, Apu or whatever the fuck his name is.
Are you talking about the receiver? The receiver?
No, he's like number 14 or something, because they had two really good quarterbacks, but they like split.
Oh, Ashton Daniels is 14, and then there was another guy.
But he was a stud too. I think they can put something together. They kind of run that like old Virginia or old Georgia Tech offense, where it's like this like wing T type
triple option kind of.
Yeah, triple option type offense, and I actually really like it. And I think it'll be kind of tough for some teams. Now I have them at 5-7, ranked number 12 in the conference. But I don't think they're as bad as you guys clearly think they are.
So I think Stanford's horrendous. But if I had to rank them between the bottom tier of the ACC, talking about Pitt, Virginia, Wake Forest, I think they're better than all three of those teams, purely for the fact that they have Ashton Daniels and Alik Ayomanor, the receiver that single-handedly cooked Travis Hunter. So, yeah, for that reason, I think that you could have them in the 11-14 range. I'd probably have them at 14 exactly. But, it doesn't make too much of a difference.
I think they're battling to finish last.
Yeah, I think they're really fighting for it here. They could really open up ACC play 0-5.
Right.
Not really inspired.
They will open up ACC. They're going to open up 0-6. They're not going to beat Wake.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm on that one. So I've got them 3-9. Really just fight for the bottom of the barrel there.
0-7, 0-8, 0-9. They're not beating anybody in the ACC.
You're being disrespectful right now,
bro. Let me read off these teams. You tell me which one you think they're going to beat. Syracuse, Clemson, Virginia Tech. You think they beat any of them? No. I bet you the answer is no. Notre Dame.
Wait. As a Virginia Tech fan, that going across the country to play at Stanford is just, I know that's the type of game Virginia Tech would lose.
Right. But you think they're gonna? So, but if you had to bet your last on it today.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I would not be surprised if they were to lose that. Okay. But I would not. I would still.
I would bet every dime in my bank account right now that Virginia Tech goes across the country, red eye, beats them. Then there's Wake, maybe.
Yes, 100%.
NC State, Louisville, Cal, maybe.
I could see him beating Wake Forest and Cal there.
Okay.
Okay, I get the feeling that Georgia Tech's up here now because I just realized.
Yeah. That kind of just forces them to move up. But
I think
there's enough time that Stanford are going to be down there.
People go there to get good education, not play football.
Hey, those kids are future doctors and lawyers.
Absolutely.
And they go there
I
to
would
get run
athletes.
over by Cal players. They go there specifically to get run over by Cal players.
That's fair.
I think that other quarterback transferred, but I don't know where to. Actually, I know he transferred, but I don't know where he went.
Let's go to Syracuse. The Cuse.
The Cuse.
It's gonna be good.
We of course got
something I.
Oh, go ahead, Lucas. What are you gonna say?
No, I mean it's just we'll get to him, but I didn't know that Hank Bachmeier transferred to Wake Forest.
It's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
Syracuse, I think they're in this 8 to 10 range. I feel like they're squarely middle of the pack.
Honda McCord, baby.
The good thing is for them, they avoid Florida State, Clemson, Louisville. They get Virginia Tech. Their hardest games probably are Virginia Tech and Syracuse. And Miami at home. Maybe at
NC State. Yeah,
at NC State. Those
they play them both. They play Miami and VT at home.
Yeah, I think Syracuse legit. I think it's 24/7 Sports. I think had Syracuse as having the easiest schedule in all of college football this year.
Yeah, they do. I mean, and all of Power 5.
That's kind of ridiculous. I don't think
I think they can have a good record because of that, but I don't think they're actually that good of a team. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this is what I mean. I think Syracuse goes 10-2. 10-2 is a lock for Syracuse. With the Honda McCord driving the bus, that's very fuel efficient. You're gonna get to where you need to go, which is 10-2. Hey, and you know what, Phil? You're gonna get to where you want to go at Syracuse, and they're not gonna turn on you for losing 2 games.
Absolutely.
They'll be happy with 7 wins.
By the way, one of them to the eventual national champ. So, and he only lost that game by 6 points.
They got
but that's the only. That's it. But he sucked, Phil. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
They pulled 2 Georgia transfer wide receivers.
That's what I'm saying. I think that this team, for me, would be in the 1 through 3. They would be fighting for the last spot in the 1 through 3 with Virginia Tech that we'll get to. But yeah, I think they're going to be that good.
With Notre Dame in there?
So I like.
Oh
my gosh,
Notre Dame.
So I like Syracuse. Their schedule really, really favorable. I know we said that. I can see them losing 3 games on this schedule. I think they're right where they need to be though in that 8 to 10. It's hard for me to say. I hate that people just put so much value on the schedule because this is an easy schedule for Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they are right at the bottom of that second tier in the ACC, where they would give. They're probably going to give NC State a game. Probably going to lose to them. If they played Louisville, they'd probably give Louisville a game, but I think they're right where they need to be.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to change my predictions now. That schedule is pretty whack, but I still could see Syracuse doing what I say, and that's going 6-6.
Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. Did you put your record predictions out without looking at the schedules?
Didn't look at a single schedule.
Oh God, no!
It was all roster and feeling based, and I feel like Syracuse is just a perennial mid school, regardless of who they have. I feel like they're always mid, but I feel like because they don't play Clemson, that's going to be their downfall. For whatever reason, Syracuse has their best seasons whenever they play Clemson and they beat Clemson. So not having Clemson on the schedule.
Halloween.
Hey, you know what we need, Connor?
No, real talk though. Real talk. How pissed off is Dino Babers? Babbers.
Matter
This schedule.
Hey,
Yeah,
real
I don't
quick
know.
though.
I still have him going 6-6. I don't think Kyle McCord is very good. And say what you will, but I think he was bailed out by a very good offense that Ohio State had this last season, just based off of talent around him. I don't think he's.
Hey, Ohio State doesn't beat Notre Dame without Kyle McCord.
I could have beat Notre Dame at Ohio State.
Okay. Let's move on to UNC.
Yep.
Let's just try and wrap this up quickly. I think
who's their quarterback?
Probably, I don't even know.
I'll find out.
Do we know who their quarterback's going to be?
It's got to be probably a transfer, right?
UNC's hardest game is at Florida State, and they host NC State.
It's Max Johnson.
So they get
Max Johnson's their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. I'm guessing that's a really bad guy. I don't know. There's somewhere in this.
He's the lefty from A&M. He actually didn't he beat Bama?
No, so he started at LSU, and then he transferred to A&M to play with his brother at A&M. And Max Johnson.
I forgot.
Was he not the guy that beat Bama?
He did beat Alabama.
He did beat Alabama, yeah.
It was the year that Saban was like, not on the football field, and then Jimbo was like, fuck you. And then goes and beats him.
Okay. Either way, I think they're purely mid-tier.
Yep.
And I still think they're maybe 6-6. Their hardest game is at Florida State, and then they host NC State. They lucked out. They don't play really any hard. They probably legit could finish with 6-7 ACC wins.
Not with Max Johnson.
Okay, you guys move on.
All right, so I'll go ahead. I think they're in the mid-tier as well. Max Johnson's terrible. It's sad that they wasted Drake May and Sam Howell when they had him. Well, now you got to deal with going back to Purgatory, North Carolina.
And Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, and Mitchell Trubisky.
And they had that one black guy before.
I will not stand for the Max Johnson slander. Not gonna do it. Dude has clutch in his middle name. Okay. All I'm saying, dude came off the bench and beat Bama. That's all. That's all the validation I need. I don't know if he needs the pressure to be good. I have no idea, but he could do it.
Hey, Phil. Technically, Alex Orji came off the bench and beat Alabama.
All right, but yeah, I think UNC's in a good spot there. I like that.
Yeah, I think they're about there.
I have them at 7-5, ranked number 9. So yeah, it's a good spot. Their receiving core is pretty good. If they don't win a lot of games this year, they're in a lot of trouble because their entire defense is seniors or grad transfers. So they're fucked.
Dude, if they don't win a lot of games this year, Mac Brown's gonna retire.
They're completely fucked. They have a lot, like pretty much their entire team is seniors or grad transfers. So, yeah.
All right, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah, I said I think they're right there. They're in the right ranking
They're
spot.
in the spot. Okay. Virginia. Full disclosure, I thought that they would be the worst, but I think they're just going to be the second worst team in the conference. So, I mean, their schedule is not.
You got something. You got something to fucking say, Ryan.
He's got something to say because Chris Tyree's playing for fucking Virginia.
Oh yeah, about
that. No. Virginia's going to be the worst.
I do like. What's his name? Anthony Cordera. Their quarterback. He's just a pure gunslinger. He's just going to throw it and doesn't care.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that with this Virginia team. Don't say anybody's that.
Oh, God. I forgot.
God. That's pure gunslinger. Damn. Yeah,
that's
okay. Well, okay. I mean, I don't know. Their hardest games, They host Louisville. They play at Clemson. They play at Notre Dame. They host SMU. They're at Virginia Tech. I think maybe 3-4 wins max. That's just kind of how Virginia's always been. They're little bro-nem to Virginia Tech. So I think 3-4 wins max.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if they get to 3 wins. I think they're the worst team in the conference. I would put Boston College over Virginia and Pitt personally. I think Virginia, they haven't recovered since Armstrong left. So yeah, I don't think Virginia's very good at all.
Yeah, the same. What else can be said? Virginia. If you're a Virginia football fan,
there are tens
avoid
of them.
sharp objects and ropes and high buildings.
There are tens of them, and they're super weird in that they don't wear jerseys. They dress up and wear suits and ties to football games. It's so fucking weird.
Have you been to Charlottesville?
I've been there once, but I never went to a football game. I chased a fraternity brother around Charlottesville for 30 minutes, and I hated it. He was I had to hop 3 fences to get his ass, and I hated him.
Were you an accountability buddy?
I was the accountability buddy, and he was like, "I want to go home. It's my house. I can go where I want." I'm like, "Dude, you're 150 miles away from Blacksburg." He's like, "I don't give a fuck." Jump 3 fences, and I had to chase his ass down. I was so mad at him.
Oh my god!
All right, now we get to talk about Connor's team.
Connor jumping a fence.
Yeah, I do. I'm surprised at that athleticism.
I'm just surprised that he can't step over the fucking fence, being 20 feet tall. Virginia, I have 4-8, 16th in the conference, 3rd worst.
Yeah, they're somewhere towards the bottom. I still think they're better than Syracuse, but that's
Stanford
or Stanford. I'm sorry, Stanford. Yeah.
All right,
they're going to be bad unless they start Tony Muskett. That's all I'm going to say.
Muskett sucks. Okay, I'll let you guys go first for Virginia Tech. I'll let you.
All right, I'll go first. Virginia Tech is in. Oh man, I would probably. I'll be honest. I would probably drop Georgia Tech, and put Virginia Tech right in the middle of Syracuse and North Carolina. That's what I would do. Because I don't think their schedule is as easy as Syracuse's to go 10-2, but I also think they're better than North Carolina, who I think is going to go like 8-4. So I think they're in the perfect medium there. They'll go 9-3.
Okay. So I've got Virginia Tech going 8-4, 9-3. I feel like that's a good spot for them. Their non-conference is pretty easy. You get, let's front end this though, right? At Vanderbilt should be an easy win.
Technically it's a neutral site in Nashville, but
okay,
that's at Vanderbilt.
It's at the Titans Stadium, but yeah,
but it's at Vanderbilt. I'm not kidding you. That is a short walk.
Yeah,
from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Tennessee, when we came from Houston, that's where they played at Vanderbilt their season.
Yeah.
They played at Vanderbilt. Yeah.
So Vanderbilt, then you get Marshall.
Ooh.
Yeah. At Old Dominion.
Oh no!
Oh no! Yeah. 2024 Virginia Tech Hokies could do the funniest thing ever.
You could lose to Marshall and Old Dominion.
Then Rutgers. That's a good football team, right, Phil?
Oh yeah.
Rutgers, solid football team.
Rutgers
They're elite
football team.
That is an elite football team. Okay, was I cut off there? Okay. Boston College, Georgia Tech at Syracuse, Clemson hosting Clemson. It's going to be a big game. At Duke, and then Virginia. Yeah, I'm pretty solid in that 9-3. So I want to put them. I would put them in that second tier, right up there with Louisville, and yeah, we're gonna have to do some fleshing out there. But yeah, I'm putting them in NC State.
Yeah, I have actually Virginia Tech as my number 4 team, number 3 in the ACC. I have them going 9-3. I think as far as what we have going here, yeah, I like that. Take NC State out, put VT. The only person that's high on NC State is Ryan. So,
hey, CBS Sports has them going 10-2 too. I'm not the only one.
Well,
Okay,
that's CBS Sports.
Yeah, I think Virginia. Like I said, I think Virginia Tech is battling Syracuse for the final spot in the top 3 outside of Notre Dame. In my opinion, I think they are 11-1. They can't. I think at best they're 11-1. The floor is 9-3. But I think, yeah, I only see them losing the one game. You choose between Clemson and Miami, but I would say that it would be Clemson. I think they can beat Miami. That's it.
Bro, I can't imagine what Connor's going to be like if they go 11-1.
I'll be beyond terrified at times.
Because ever since we've done this show, Connor has not seen VT be like really, really good. So
it's hard to be a fan of a good team.
It'd be totally on brand for Virginia Tech to go like 11-1 or 12-0, make the playoff, and then be hosting like a playoff game, and then immediately get smacked in the face and lose that game.
They'll end up hosting like
LSU or some shit.
11-1 Alabama, who had to get like the 12 seed because of just how everything works out.
Exactly.
Right.
They're like, we're gonna.
They'll get, and this is a heads up. They'll get like a 9-3 Alabama.
Wait, no. You know what would be even funnier? Say VT goes 12-0, right? They get the ACC bid, or no, they get 11-1. They lose in the ACC title game. They get the like a top 5 through 8 seed, and then they get the high seed, and they gotta play the best group of 5 champion that happens to be Old Dominion.
we only lose at Old Dominion. We
okay, Wake Forest.
Okay, well, for me, real quick, because I didn't talk about it, I think hardest games are at Miami versus Clemson. But I am scared playing at Miami, and then very next week we have to play at Stanford. Virginia Tech is returning so many starters that I'd be very, very happy if they do very well, obviously, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm guessing is Wake at the bottom?
No, Wake is in between Virginia and Boston College, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wake is the worst team by far.
Louisville. All right. Actually, no, wait.
We got to put Notre Dame in there.
We don't have Notre Dame in here.
Just act like you do.
Hypothetically, Notre Dame
would be 1 or 2.
I got Notre Dame 8 through 10.
8 through 10. Solidly competing with
solid
NC
9,
State
solid.
and Syracuse.
I have Notre Dame at. I actually truthfully, I have Notre Dame at 10-2.
Losses to
USC and Stanford.
Lucas is you're fucking trolling.
I haven't even looked at their schedule, but I think I just think they go.
No, dude, our schedule is cupcakes. Like, it's literally easy.
Yeah, but you lost to Marshall.
We lost to Marshall 2 years ago.
You still lost to Marshall.
You're losing to Florida State.
Virginia Tech lost to Marshall last year, so
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Virginia Tech is Virginia Tech, brother.
Okay,
Florida
so
State-
all of
Florida State is
their
going to beat Notre Dame for sure.
No, they're not.
I got
Yeah,
them.
they
Yeah. Okay, so here we
DJU
go.
is
All
better
right.
than Leonard.
I have
than
the
Riley
schedule
Leonard.
up.
Yep.
I have the schedule up. I have the schedule up. Okay. At Texas A&M, week 1.
Lost.
I have them losing that.
When?
Lost.
Week 1.
When?
What do you mean when? Saturday, August 31st.
No, I said
already
when.
know what's big bet now.
I said when.
Oh, okay.
I
The way
heard
that
when
your
also.
nostrils were like closed.
When?
Fucking hear it.
Yes,
Okay, so-
he
W.
tells
When?
him the fucking date.
So we're starting the season 0-1. Then you
Yeah,
get
it's not
NIU.
1-0.
Then you get NIU. That's a win. Okay. At Purdue. That's a win.
That's
We're
going to
gonna
be a
pull
tough one.
Boston College.
That's a
and lose
loss.
to
That's a
tough
loss. That's a loss against Purdue.
You're having Notre Dame losing to Purdue.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
What
I
are you
mean,
I don't know. It's a
Natural.
3:30 game.
Oh man,
I got
dude.
Purdue in the Natty this year.
I got Purdue going 13-0 and winning the Big Ten, bro. What do you mean?
Then Notre Dame plays Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, but wait, that's the real Miami, Josh.
all right,
Remember?
let's end
Real
this shit.
Miami.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, cool.
Nobody cares about Notre Dame. What are we doing?
That's right.
That is
That's
very
right.
Yeah,
true.
9-3.
They're somewhere in
9-3.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. If Notre Dame is not here, since Notre Dame is not here, I'm guessing it would kind of look like this.
15 through 17 range. It doesn't matter. Let's end this shit. It's going too long.
How
I'm
dare
done.
you put NC State above Syracuse?
Yeah.
I actually agree with that. Yeah, take NC State down.
By the way, I want Kyle McCord to break records this year.
Yes.
Just to
Ohio
prove a
State fans.
point.
Absolutely. I want him to dominate
kinda
college
hilarious.
football.
No, Phil. What we need is an Ohio State versus Syracuse CFP game.
That would be excellent.
By the way, Connor, switch
Other than
Georgia
the
Tech.
fact that Ohio State ain't going to the CFP,
Okay,
there you
but
go.
that's for
Yeah.
another day.
Anything else
Hey,
that we'd like to say?
Connor,
about-
switch Georgia Tech and North Carolina. That's basically it.
I would like to say, go blue.
Cool.
Go Blue.
So,
All right, Connor.
Hey,
Fine,
go
I'll
Ducks.
Take
take a
this shit
snap
off
of this.
and take us out, Connor.
Okay. Real quick, I'll take a photo of this, Ryan, and I'll send it to you, and we can post that.
I
And
could
see what
post
people-
it, yeah.
Okay. So sorry it took so long. We are getting back into the groove of things. It's been a long time. We'll make sure these are not as long going forward. For Phil, for Lucas, for Josh, for Ryan, I'm Connor. This is the Week Zero podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with what, the the Big 12?
Yep,
The Big
12.
East. Yes.
Big 12.
I say the Big East.
Big East.
Big East.
Please
Until
do
then, guys,
the
have a
Big
great day
The
and have a
Big
great
East
weekend.
throwing it.